Hey guys. So, one thing I liked about the tone of this chapter right from the jump is how it was very quiet, very reflective moment for the villains and giving them this very human moment of reflecting on their past and the events that brought them to this point and how for better or worse the chapter emphasizes there really is no going back. This is the path they've chosen, and just like the heroes who have to stop them, they're going to see it through the end because it just like the heroes this it's the hero's conviction to stop them. This is the villain's conviction to pretty much do what they must to live in a society where they are accepted, even if it's by the means that we might not agree with. So, although I'll be honest, after this chapter, I've genuinely got no idea where Toga's character is gonna be headed by the end of this series, because narratively, there are signs that point towards her and Spinner being the ones going rogue, but on a more emotional level with this chapter, you can see that like the rest of the league, Toga has kind of come full circle and accepted herself for who she is and what she has become. So knowing that, the only route I can see for her character aside from death is for her to accept what she's become, repent for her, is to maybe come to terms with her sins, turn herself in exchange for help from the heroes in order to save Shigaraki and the kind of home she and just her vision of what she saw as the League of Villains rather than what it's become now, I think. But I could be wrong, because I could be reading the room, because I could be also be reading the room wrong. But even if she does go through with it, Toga almost looks like she's hesitating on whether to actually go through with ingesting Twice's blood. And even if she does, there are little moments throughout that really kind of reinforce that she could just as easily turn on the villains. Honestly, there are a lot of signs throughout this chapter that really seem to enforce the idea that Toga and Spinner are definitely going to be the two ones to go rogue and to kind of turn on what the League of Villains has become now, almost. Let's talk about that reveal in itself, because on top of further showing that just how far Toya himself has fallen, there is kind of a sick, twisted irony of the fact that Toga copying Twice's power was all about duplicating himself and others, and now in sort of indirect way they're duplicating him by having Toga ingest his blood. Even though it's something Toga has done many times before under these circumstances, it feels like under these particular circumstances, the whole thing of Toga, the whole possibility of Toga ingesting Twice's blood really feels like on some real Frankenstein's monster type shit, because even though we have heard about the idea of her taking on the form of someone dead before, someone she's killed, someone who's dead, and we have seen instances of that, a lot of the people who have died off screen. It's never been a direct sort of thing to see, but actually seeing it, actually seeing that idea of her ingesting the blood of someone who's died, seeing it being put into practice in this way, does weirdly add way more of an unsettling and disturbing aura around just what Toga's decision will ultimately be, and her quirk as well. That while there always was that sort of unsettling and disturbing feel of her quirk, taking someone's blood, ingesting it, and taking on their form. Only now does it feel like the implications of her power are really starting to, the unsettling implications of her power are really starting to set in. It's Toga's it really makes you feel sympathy for Toga, but having to live with such a power to begin with. She was pretty much someone who again, as she said I think many times before, she's basically someone who was kind of cursed to live with such a power. Having blood be the thing that's tied to it, it really is kind of it really is a cursed life she's lived. With that said, let's talk about the other side of the coin, Spinner, because once again, it's reinforced that just what kind of a symbol he's become among the villains and among anyone with much heteromorph abilities. And as All For One and Skeptics say, it's up to him in order to lead the heteromorph population now, and lead them and become the in order to lead them and become the one and become their symbol and whatnot. So for me, this one again, the whole thing with Skeptic is a little more straightforward for me to predict, and how I do believe it will all play out. Given from what we've seen of Spinner's sort of just uncomfortableness with what the League has become, and just how uncertain he is with everything. He's, even if Toga doesn't, Spinner ultimately is the one who I can see being the one to kind of go rogue. But and it's even more convincing now with him being in this much influence and power by All For One. But the interesting thing here is that, as Skeptic pointed out, the heteromorph society has a long-held grudge against heroes. So that means if Horikoshi's intent with Spinner is for him to turn on All For One and what the League of Villains has become, then Spinner is going to have to play the long game just for him to convince them of a way they can truly be led out of this darkness that they've been living in for decades now. In the way that Spinner himself envisions of what he wants, of how he wants society, of how he wants to, in order to do things, and just generally just try and make a society where he and many others like him can be truly accepted. Knowing all this, and the idea of Spinner needing to play the long game in order to gain the trust of the heteromorph society, in order to guide his vision. If Horikoshi is holding true to the series ending this year, it does make me worry a little bit about the pacing, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And yeah, as per usual, Horikoshi wasn't afraid to go full-on disturbing with this chapter, because on top of the twice his blood thing, there's a lot of we get more than a couple moments throughout where he did not shy away from the full-on body horror elements, and from showing Shigaraki's recovery. And it's in moments like that where, if I genuinely believe, given it the opportunity, I believe in Horikoshi's could pretty much write one hell of a horror manga. For me, Horikoshi has proven through the villain side of things in Hero Academia that he's got the chops in order to write a really disturbing horror manga if he wasn't given as many restraints by Shonen Jump and whatnot, or if he decided to write something for a different magazine. I genuinely believe Horikoshi could pull off some really disturbing horror shit. And that's actually one thing I actually wouldn't mind seeing from him after Hero Act is done, is we did a horror manga or something like that. But again, with just a different magazine or something like that. And once again, I gotta give Horik, and has that's something he's just proven through just the whole march of the villains and whatnot. And I gotta give Horikoshi credit. The man has a real talent for bringing small bits of continuity back around into the story. As on the final page of this chapter, among all the heteromorph villains, we see the sludge guy that All Might defeated at the start of the series. Just like how he did with the old man speaking in defense of Izuku. Little details and scenes like that probably don't mean much in isolation, but when you do come back around, when they do come back around as callbacks at the beginning of the series, it really does make this world feel like a real place being lived in. With that said, one thing to take note of, I guess, is it's Horikoshi's turn to go on break, so next chapter won't be out for 2 weeks. So next week One Piece returns, but without My Hero Academia, which sucks given how hyped that ending is. But I'm willing to wait, give the man his rest when he needs it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Renee, signing off. Later, everyone.